Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 meeting of the Board of Library Trustees to order. I'm Roger Trahan, Chair, and I mentioned who I am, and maybe for posterity's sake, because we don't have name tags, and I'll just quickly take the opportunity for a quick introduction, starting with Aaron.
My name is Aaron Vandestein. I've been a resident of Grafton since 2008 and served on the board since 2015.
Wonderful. I'm Carrie Hogan. I'm also a trustee as well, and I was elected along with Roger last May.
Yep. All right. And Roger Trahan, Chair, and also, as Carrie said, elected last May.
I'm John Bobrisky. I'm the vice chair, and I was elected, I think it was 2 years ago.
Doug Bowman. I've been Grafton for a long time, and I've been a trustee for a long time. I can't remember, like 20. It's been about 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hi, I'm Dana Wilson. I'm a longtime Grafton resident. I live in South Grafton, and I've been a trustee for a long time as well.
All right. Thank you. And first item on our agenda, Library Director Finalist Interviews Update. We're down to one with Tom O'Connell, and the walkthrough that we had discussed at our Zoom meeting last week. I'm waiting for his reply. It would either occur on this coming Tuesday the 2nd or Wednesday the 3rd at 1 o'clock, and so I'll let you know what his reply is. And one of the things that we had, I think, discussed at our last meeting during the interviews is the possibility that there may be enough of the board who had sought interest in attending that walkthrough that we would preemptively post as a public meeting. And my own thought about that is that since we would be entering the library, it's a workplace, and it's really not a function, and it's more of a walkthrough and an introduction. And once you anticipate a quorum and that's posted, then anyone can walk through, and I would caution against that, because my thought is for this to be as least disruptive as possible. Mm-hmm. It's really not like a function and such, and so I would invite us identifying who among us would really want to be present that doesn't reach a quorum. You can disagree with my assessment, but those are my thoughts. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that?
I think that's right on.
Right. So
Complete agreement.
So as chair, I would really, I think I should be there and conduct that walkthrough, mm-hmm. or facilitate it. And so anyone else who feels they are free that either Tuesday or Wednesday, it would either day. I'm waiting for his.
I'm sorry. Was it the 2nd and the 3rd or the 9th and the 10th?
No. The 2nd or the 3rd.
Okay.
In other words, next.
Okay, so this coming week.
Yes, either Tuesday or Wednesday at 1 o'clock.
Carrie, have you met this candidate yet in person?
Not in person, but I did. So Doug and I did conduct the initial round of interviews, so we did have more of an opportunity to speak than the other board members. So I would certainly defer to yourself and Dana and John. If you want to be present, then I certainly would be comfortable stepping back.
Yeah, so I probably won't attend, but I do want to get a good sense of this person. But that said, I trust the work that the search committee has done. I mean, five people, mm-hmm. to bring 3 really great candidates.
Thank you.
So
Thank you again, by the way.
Yeah,
right. So same idea with policy committee. You guys put a lot of trust in policy committee to know that a lot of due diligence has been put into the policies we bring to the board. So I'll defer. So I don't need to attend, but certainly I was actually going to suggest you or Doug because of some familiarity. Mm-hmm. But you made a good point. If somebody else wants to get idea of this person's character.
I hadn't even thought about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So who?
I would love to attend, and I can, but again, if we end up having too many people, then I could step back also.
All right.
I'm
John or Dana?
available those days, but
Okay.
I'm gonna do the same thing.
Okay.
But-
All right. How about you, John?
I think I'd like to go,
Okay.
and I can probably be available.
All right.
So how many, how many of us are there?
Well, we can only have 3 because 4 would be a quorum.
Quorum would be 4, and I was trying to prevent the
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
that it would be a sort of public event. We're going into the library, their workplace, and patrons are there, and so I'm trying to have this as low key as possible. It's really a walkthrough, not a public function. That's certainly wasn't our intent.
Well, Doug, if you wanna go, I'm fine with that.
But I think if Dina, Doug, and John would like to go, Aaron, isn't going to go, and I'm fine with that.
Then we still
But
have
John-
Oh,
4.
I'm sorry.
John
Yes,
wants to
I'm sorry.
Then we have.
I'm not
Then we're
counting.
4.
Yeah, yeah.
Doug, I can stay, I have got enough to do on my plate. Doug,
But then
if you
there's
wanna
still the
go.
4 of us that want to go.
No.
But I don't have to go.
All right.
Like, I don't.
So
like,
so
three of us?
the 3 of us. Okay.
It'd be nice to have a woman. but-
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that gonna be weird, just 3 men, but
Right.
I can defer to Carrie if you would like to go, Carrie.
I think you should go,
I
John.
think you should go, John.
I really
I,
do.
I,
Yeah.
I actually feel extremely comfortable with him.
Okay.
So unless like you get a major red flag.
Okay.
he does something
So
crazy.
I am a definite, and then there's Doug and John. If Doug or John, either of you find that you can't go, then
Yeah,
let me know
I
as
would-
soon as possible so that someone
Yeah.
else may fill
Okay,
in.
so
as
I'll
that
be the
third
backup.
person.
I'm
Sure.
totally fine with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Policy subcommittee updates. I put this on as a placeholder, and I made sure, Aaron, that I put you
That's-
right at the head of the meeting.
No, I appreciate that.
Sure.
So, nothing new from policy committee at this point. John and I have yet to meet on a number of policies that we worked on, I want to say 3-4 months ago, when the director left and Debbie left as well. So, these just need some buttoning up, but the union has reviewed them and so has legal. So we just need to get a sense of which ones we want to bring to the board. So it's just a matter of getting together to do that. That said, I want to talk about having the opportunity to have someone from the library staff join us because their input was invaluable. And I think, certainly I don't want to speak for John, but at least my sense is that we want, we can be flexible in terms of, if it's during a scheduled hours, we're not asking for somebody to go take time out of their personal life to join policy subcommittee, but we feel it's an important role and position to have someone from staff and have their input. So I just want to make that known, and hopefully if there's staff that listen to this meeting or read the minutes, I just want that to show on the record that we really would value having someone from staff.
All right. Yeah, I would look forward to having someone who may not have had an opportunity who could offer some valuable input
Yep.
to be on that. And I guess I know although Cindy's present as an observer, I guess I would just throw out there that one question I would have is for either during work hours or after hours, is policy subcommittee considered sort of a change in duties, work duties? I don't know. It seems pretty innocuous, and up to this point, the staff had been non-union, so it wasn't an issue. I just wanted to just throw that out there that,
I think I think it would be voluntary, right? We're not making somebody do something
Okay.
that would be on their own volition.
okay,
I think
All right.
that's how I would interpret that. I don't know.
Okay.
Too.
I mean, I would assume that the department heads would have a vested interest in attending, and
Sure.
and that would fall under the purview of their responsibilities. But the
Okay.
hours,
Right.
I don't know about.
okay, all right,
And historically, the director's been involved.
Right.
And,
Yes.
and presumably the director's
Right.
been reviewing those, during work
Right.
hours with the appropriate person and staff.
sure. All right, sounds cool. And then on the 3D printing policy, I don't know whether that's been looked at. We had discussed at a recent meeting that it was contingent on, the union, being okay with the scope of duties contained in, the 3D printing policy, that the staff involvement didn't go beyond the contract. So,
Yeah, I read that in the minutes. I wasn't quite sure,
that's the way we
like, why?
voted it
Why
on.
would it go against the union? I mean, it's just another piece of technology at the library.
But it was the assistant, it was, I
Just
think we
because-
talked about the assistants and that someone could be called in to assist someone.
So
And that maybe we were exercising an abundance of caution in that discussion, John?
I think we're exercising an abundance of caution because Debbie, I think she would feel okay with me saying that she is itching to get the
Sure.
printer into
Yeah.
play here,
Okay.
Yeah.
and she's the person, she's the department head of the teen services, I believe.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so
She is.
I think if she's okay with it, I don't think we need to wait on any
Right.
Yeah.
union stuff with that.
Any other policy subcommittee, items?
No, so I think just posting the policies is a question because, in the absence of a director and a scribe, I'm not sure who would post the policies on the website.
Right.
So since we approved the two policies, I don't know that they're on the website yet,
Okay.
the pandemic policy, and so, not quite sure how that would work, but, I can look into it.
What was the other policy, the pandemic policy, and which other?
And the 3D printer policy.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Right.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, approval of minutes, February 28th, the regular meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the draft minutes of February 28th?
So moved.
All right,
Second,
all right, motion made by Aaron, seconded by Doug to approve the draft minutes of our February 28th regular meeting. Any discussion on the motion? All right, I will then mention a couple of things. On expiring board of trustees terms on number 3, those positions will be voted on at the May 2024 town meeting. It's actually town election. And that was the first bullet point, and actually only bullet point on number 3. And then under number 5, 2023 trustees annual report. At the very end, I would send the report to Cindy tomorrow. I would just like that to say Cindy Ide, not to be confused with Library Cindy, even though it's a different spelling. And so, those are the only edits that I would make.
So who's gonna make the edits, Roger? Because,
Okay, so I can make the edits because I think I have the Word document.
oh, good, okay,
And so I'll do the edits and then submit it.
perfect.
took me a couple pages to figure out what all that shading was.
Oh, the draft?
The draft, 'cause it's behind
So what
the text.
happened is
The
I
watermark.
pressed the wrong button and I didn't do the overlay right.
Yeah.
And then I just noticed that today when I printed it, or yesterday, and I was like, what is all this shading?
What is
Very
it?
artsy.
Yeah, very artsy. And yeah, it was the word draft, and I don't know what I did wrong, but what I realized after the fact that on every page, I think it says draft.
Correct.
Anyway, so it's
Creatively.
yeah, it's
Behind the
irrelevant.
letters.
So, any further discussion on the motion regarding February 28th minutes? All right, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimously. And then March 20th, I just put that on as a placeholder. That was our special meeting via Zoom.
Yep.
And then,
So I will plan to have them complete before our next board meeting, so can be included in the packet.
yeah, thank you, Carrie, for doing that. And, yeah, in the absence of a scribe.
If you wouldn't mind sharing with me the Word version of these minutes,
Yes.
I'll use that template for those so they're consistent.
Yeah, all right. All right, Word doc to Carrie.
Thank you, Roger.
You're welcome. All right, so we'll defer that. All right, and as we've been doing as a block, do I have a motion to approve warrants 36 through 39 for the amounts and sources as contained in the handouts?
So moved.
Second,
All right, motion made by Aaron, seconded by Doug Do I have any discussion on the motion regarding these warrants?
I
Yes.
had two questions.
Sure.
One, and maybe no one knows the answer, but one of them was like Illinois Library Association. Do we know what that is? Is that just
Yeah,
where they get
I
some of
actually
the
asked
content?
that,
Which
that-
one was it? What warrant was it, do you know?
Number 39.
I believe,
On page two.
I believe are the T-shirts for the summer reading program, because I remember, it stuck out at me. I think I signed that one, and it did stick out at me as a little odd, but I believe it's for the staff T-shirts for the summer reading program and other such materials.
Okay.
All right. Is everyone satisfied with that answer?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Declare the motion carried unanimously. Okay.
So while we're talking about,
Sure.
bills,
Yep.
is anybody available to sign? Because I didn't see another signature, or did anybody make it over to the library to sign?
I was there, but I didn't realize, I totally spaced and forgot to
If you had
actually
signed, I saw
go
you.
for that.
I
I
put a
could do it
reminder
tomorrow.
on my phone to go every
So
Wednesday.
what was that?
Do you need me to do it tomorrow?
By 4 o'clock, I think
Well,
it
yeah.
was?
I mean, we need
Are you
two
around?
signatures.
I could do it in the morning.
All right, thank you.
I'll do it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, otherwise I can run by if somehow you don't make it, let me
Okay,
know.
sure.
I'll run by.
All right. And so a lot of these items are placeholders, so grant updates, and we don't currently have, a director or an admin at the table here. So on the building program and grant updates, does anyone have any updates on those at all?
I would just add, I mean, I sent an email out, but we did get lead certification silver.
All right.
Yay.
That's great. I mean, that's what we were going for all along.
All right.
And at our building committee meeting on Monday, I think there was one piece of paperwork that needed to get filled out by the town in order for us to start getting the money, because we do get it. The money that comes from that goes back to the library itself, not to the
Is it
town.
160? What
I
was?
think it was 160K.
Okay, and what?
Fantastic.
That is awesome. So congrats. I'm
Oh, I
really
thought that-
psyched.
Okay.
So-
That's what someone said at the building committee, is that money specifically goes back to the to the library account for library expense,
But
library
which
expenditure.
account? Is it the account that, all right, so like state aid, it's like a revolving fund and we can carry over from one year to the next. And once we get this 160, does it become part of the budget and then has to be kicked back to the town at
I would-
the end of
I don't know the details. I would guess it might go back into the building and construction account,
Yeah,
Okay,
but it should be available to the library for expenses.
okay. Dana?
okay. I was just gonna ask Doug who said that, because I thought, I could be wrong, but I thought it was supposed to go right to the town and to pay for the construction of the building, but I may be incorrect. It's
I
been a
will-
long time.
I will follow up
We've
on
been
that.
working on that for years.
So who will you follow up with on that? Will either William
I
or
will
Evan?
follow up with
Or us?
probably William.
Okay.
Both. I mean, I have 161, but I will follow up with him to find out what the actual number is, the
Okay.
exact number is, and then the
And-
account.
Yeah, and what the limitations are on that. All right. So next would be Mass Historic Commission update. Now, that's been put out to bid, and when will that start? Anyone get an
think-
update on that?
I thought they're working on it now, aren't they?
Are they?
They're gonna come they're doing staging work soon, correct, Doug? Yeah, I think,
Well, it has to be done by June 30th for that money to not be compromised, so I think they're gonna do that on the quick.
I thought William's been working
Yeah.
on that.
He did say that the last meeting, but then, he was
Oh,
out
yeah,
for a little
so,
bit,
but
but he's back, thank
Okay,
goodness.
all right.
He told me that we know that they're gonna be doing some construction, cause we were given
Very soon.
information, both
Alright.
Doug and I, about that, as far as how they were gonna get access to the cupola.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
they'll be staging in the children's amphitheater, I guess, is
Right.
where they're gonna be putting some of their equipment and stuff. But I don't think he mentioned timelines in the
No.
email that I got.
I know it would have to be pretty darn soon because of the deadline that would loom as of June 30th for the completion. It has to be done by the end of the fiscal year.
Do you want someone to look into that, to confirm that?
Do you want to do that, Doug, too, while you're on the leads end?
It says,
could do
I'm
it.
sorry, in his email to me, he says that the company doing the work on the cupola is gonna be setting up roof access scaffolding in the back corner near the amphitheater in the first week of April.
Oh, all right.
We
Okay,
anticipate it'll be up until the first week of June. So April to June.
does, okay.
Okay,
Maybe we could ask him to give us an update next month if he's able to.
all right. So I'll just keep it on the, as a, we've been
Yeah,
having
we'll
this as a
keep it.
placeholder. All right, so flood remediation and construction updates. I know that, the children's room now has a temporary space in the community room, which is nice. And that we're still waiting for the rug to be delivered, and we knew that that was going to be as of our last meeting, 6 to 8 weeks, so.
Do you have a timetable for
I,
that?
I don't yet. I could ask William. Unless you want to knock that off too. I don't know why you have his attention.
I'm sorry, what was that about?
About
That's about when the rug
But the
will be
rug,
delivered.
whether we
Oh,
have an
yeah.
update on the
I
rug
think
delivery.
that's important for us to know. I wanna know for
You
certain.
I
wanna-
can check with William
all
on that
right.
too. Sorry, I'm
All right.
typing away here.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, don't mean to bog you down, but instead of,
Oh, no,
him
might as well
getting
get it
hit
all
with
at once.
multiple
Yeah.
inquiries from different people.
Yeah, cause the last I saw was 8 to 10 weeks, but I
Yeah.
can't remember when that,
When
I think
when
it was
that
at-
started.
8 to 10?
I
When
think
did
it
it
was,
begin?
Cause it started off as 4 to 6, and then you said 6 to 8. I was like 8 to 10.
no, it was eight, I think it was,
Wasn't it?
Well, it was in the meeting minutes,
well,
actually.
let's call
where I
it,
got
yeah, it was in the meeting minutes, and so maybe 8 as of our last meeting.
Okay.
So, all right, teen room carpet and any other interior issues. Again, a placeholder that we've had numerous updates on. I know that, Aaron, had you been the one that had been more involved in that discussion? I forget.
Kind of. I mean, I certainly have an opinion.
Right, okay, maybe that was what's in my brain.
I mean, certainly, if we can come up with a funding source, and this is really important to the teen room leadership and the staff, to come up with a different solution, then certainly I would entertain it. But my personal feeling is, it can be cleaned. But a lot of the teens have spoken up, around the community and even expressed their concerns to me that it stinks. It's gross. It smells bad. I mean, I think you're gonna have spills and stuff otherwise, but
I think what happens is too, is if people have coffee and creamer,
yeah.
milk products is just,
Oh yeah,
that's
teens
no
love
good.
coffee, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
they do.
So,
Yeah, but what I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I
go
didn't-
for it.
I
Yeah,
missed your
please.
talk. So I do understand, like, it would be great if we were able to clean it. The concern is that, in order to clean it, just the timing with, the library's closed on Sundays, but it takes like a day to dry out. It's just logistically, like, to have the person who can actually do the cleaning and then have it be complete in time, it just doesn't really lend itself, because the librarians shouldn't be the ones doing the cleaning, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I think I'm missing something here. Were we talking first about the children's room carpet, and now we're talking about the teen room?
Yeah.
And is
Yes.
that the gaming room?
Okay.
Yes, again.
Yeah,
And-
we're on
and-
a-
And I
item,
thought, I thought that we had ordered some material for that. That didn't happen?
No.
No.
So we still looking for a solution?
Well, we need to vote if we want to pay for it and how we're gonna. And what
What was the
funding source.
last cost? I remember there was a higher cost that turned out to be a lower cost. What was the cost on that?
I think what the problem is that Debbie's not a contractor or teen services librarian, so I think she provided a cost of the carpet, but the installation cost. Look, we don't have like a full quote of the installation, of whatever materials it is. So her preference was to have not to use carpet, to use like a different laminate product, but then we need to know what the cost is for the installation. So we need somebody to help us with, a full quote, so then we can see what is the dollar amount and then figure out, funding.
And I wonder
That's
that,
my understanding too, that we were
Yeah.
expecting to get a quote from Debbie, or at least from the town, to see how much it
Yeah.
was.
And my sense, Debbie didn't feel comfortable with providing that quote because that's not her area of expertise.
Yeah.
She's expressing the need, and I am sympathetic to that.
oh, absolutely, I agree. She went above and beyond, to try to nail down a cost and scope of the work.
Yeah.
That was beyond her
Yeah.
either role or knowledge.
I mean, it was showing that she was, she's doing her best to try to present this to us as a problem and some basic costs and why it needs to be done. But my question is, so where do we go from here, right? I think I heard, nobody, not Debbie's responsibility to come up with a quote to fix this and remediate it. Who would have been responsible for that, something like that in the past? I would assume it would have been the director.
Yes.
But
It would
again,
have.
like, you're putting a lot on the director.
Right.
And I think even when the director was doing that, probably wasn't fully their purview either. I mean,
Yeah, I mean.
but it's not our purview, or is it the town? I would say
Yeah.
probably yes, the director. So potentially, this could be one of the first acts of the new director is, you know, to come up with a quote that we can approve and get it done.
Or could it be something, I guess, again, like, could we ask,
Let's do it.
Doug, could you ask William if there's somebody that could assist us with getting a quote for that work? And if he says no, then we can, hold off for the director, but,
Yeah,
Yeah,
we,
I mean-
the town has a facilities department.
right,
And,
like,
you know,
yeah, they
public
do
works.
stuff
We
like
did.
this.
And they do building maintenance. I'm sure they have a list of vendors and contractors they would use for any sort of damage to something. So
Yeah.
I think you're right. William Blake would be a good person to.
Yeah.
So Doug, do you want to add that to your
I
list?
just did.
Yeah.
I will check with Debbie just to have
Okay.
a quick conversation to see if she's gotten any of that information, and assuming
makes
it's a no, I'll then talk to William.
That's a good.
That
good-
is a good idea.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Because I thought I remember a conversation where William said that they can do the installation like at the same time as the other rooms.
That's what I thought.
But they just needed to get the material. But I'll talk to William, and
And I think there would be an extra cost for the labor though, too.
there would be an extra
Yeah.
cost, right?
Because the insurance company won't pay for that.
I think if we could get this done soon, it would be better, because then we'd have the children's room done, the teens' room would be done. I mean, it would just be good, because this
And-
is like a problem that we've had for
Yeah.
really
And we're
since
sure
we
they want the
opened.
vinyl. Like, to me, vinyl's not the most comfortable thing. It's definitely the most cleanable, but.
Yeah,
but
They
people
definitely
are-
don't want the carpet,
Okay.
so
So,
so they
yeah.
want a
It's a no-brainer.
different.
Right, one
yeah.
at a time. I generally let this
You're
conversation
gonna have
kind
trouble
of,
taking
I
minutes.
know,
but-
I know. I'm
all right.
doing
So
it to myself.
you would, as you were saying,
So I think that, getting a company that you can make a recommendation as to what is an appropriate flooring material, makes sense. But it's clearly the preference would not be the carpet.
all right. And
Yep.
Doug, but then, or were you finished and then
I was
Dana
done.
had, okay, Dana.
yeah, no, I agree. I just think it's
Yeah.
a no-brainer. We just got to do it. Let's get it done.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, thank you, Doug. You'll touch base with Debbie first and then depending on the outcome of that conversation, speak with, William. All right, FY 24 and 25 budget updates. Again, we're kind of challenged without, the staff that we have been used to having, for these updates. I know that, in the main town budget book, there was just one line for library, but there was a larger document that I thought that Mary, someone's gonna have to jog my memory because there's been a lot of emails coming and going from my, me sending and receiving. I don't recall the last document that I sent to the board regarding FY 25, whether it was an email that simply spoke at that time of the, just a very brief mention in the larger budget book that's online, and that may have been from a couple of meetings ago, or whether we had the larger, a larger internal document that further described the request. Because I think it was like 2.2% increase from the current fiscal year. Does anyone recall that? I'll have to look back or just contact Mary, Gloria on that.
Yeah, I don't see anything.
Yeah, I'm-
Or even Eileen.
I'm looking. I'm not finding.
Right.
I don't see anything specific to that.
All right. All right. I'll just reach out to Eileen about that, because she and Mary were, back and forth in communication with each other as as finance committee is in the midst of their budget discussions in advance of town meeting, because I think they may have already met twice. Typically, there are 3 full Saturdays that finance committee meets to really pour over the budget. Kudos to finance committee. They're doing a tremendous job at really digging through this and using their weekends. So I'll further look into FY25. I know that, I think Dana, you had initially brought it up that you wanted to have someone really go over it. It may have been,
Yeah, I think that was a while ago, but I
It
guess
was.
things have really changed. I mean,
Right.
I don't know where. I guess we have to find out what
Has-
we're doing. I think we talked about using the old budget and then going right through it, but I don't know whose responsibility is that? Is that what Eileen's doing with Mary?
I know they were going back and forth and they communicate with each other in developing a budget documents.
Okay, okay.
That's my understanding.
I just thought it would make sense that we all understand it, and normally the trustees do go,
Right.
the library director goes to the finance meeting.
Okay.
And the trustees do come, and
Right.
the finance committee really expects that, that's their expectation.
All right, and then I'm wondering if historically, and I'll tap you folks on historically, I know that, for example, town administrator has a budget document and it includes a budget narrative and a sort of a descriptive of like the philosophy behind budgeting and what's changing and what's not as a narrative. Historically, has there been a narrative that has been presented to the trustees behind the numbers?
I don't think so. I mean, we typically have a trustee person meet with Beth, because I've done it in the past.
Okay.
And goes through the budget and just as a second look,
Okay.
seeing if she's missed something or something was missed.
Okay.
And that's when she's explaining what, the line items are, but they're pretty straightforward. I mean, I think most of us
Yeah.
are familiar
Right.
with how it's broken out.
And I think she also would go through we'd also go through it as a trustee. in
We
a
would go
meeting.
through it during the
Right.
meeting also.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's rocket science. I think it's pretty straightforward and pretty self-explanatory. I don't think it's something of like volume. We're not talking about.
Correct.
I mean, we're talking about
Oh,
no
The
major
challenge is, sorry.
no major disruptions. In other words, there are challenges regarding staffing, and that will always be with a concern that we want to make sure things are properly funded. But I'm
but-
not aware of any major disruptions.
Yeah, but I think one of the concerns was that when when Eileen tried to dig into it to kind of see like how the budget was created in the past, like, I don't know that there's a lot of, I don't know if the level of detail she was having a little trouble with, so.
Okay.
Do you think Eileen needs one of our help from one of us?
I don't know. I'll reach out to her and
Because there's certain requirements, right?
That's
And
the
she
tricky part of the
understands that.
requirements.
There's requirements that we have to have so we remain certified.
right. Oh yeah, absolutely. That I think it was that 13% threshold for our town size as far as, as far as spending on materials and such. But
Right.
Yeah. But
I'll reach out to her. All right. IT. Any IT updates? Any IT issues that anyone's aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
I actually did notice that the return machine outside was out of service, but I believe that's been corrected at this point, Cindy, yes,
All right.
so.
Thank you.
It was
All
a
right.
screen issue, I think, or something, like, yeah,
I think it ended up being a power issue. They
Oh.
thought it was a screen, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
fixed at this point.
okay,
Awesome.
terrific.
Oh, and that was the exterior?
The exterior, yeah, because I actually pulled up, I was trying to return a book, and I was like, oh, there's a nice sign on there saying it's out of order, but.
And John, with your monthly walkabout hat, I know the last month there weren't many changes from the prior month, but did you get a chance to either look around and notice anything?
Yeah, I went through today, actually. Very nice weather, so perfect time to do it, especially in lieu of some of the weather we've had recently. The good news is I didn't really find anything new. Bad news is really just that the teen room door is still letting some water in. It's not going far into the room. which is the upside, but it's still happening consistently. So I guess what I could do is try and follow up with somebody about the gutters, because I know there was supposed to be a gutter company coming out to look at the gutters that are above that side of the building, because I think that's part of the problem is the water is not going down into the gutter, it's coming out of the gutter or it's leaking around it, whatever that is. So the water's splashing down, pooling up outside the teen room, and then just going inside because it's pooling up there. So yeah, so I could try and figure out who to follow up with about that. Does that make sense?
That, yeah, was it the fact that the gutter, that the seams were not flush and it
That's-
wasn't going straight down into where it was supposed to?
That's my kind of guess. I think there were two things as I've been looking at over the last 6 months or a year or whatever it is, where like I think there's been like standing water in the gutters, but I think maybe they were cleaned at some point. But then I think the other thing is that like the seams aren't welded correctly or whatever, because they're like those copper gutters, I think
Right.
is what they are. So
And I think that was what we observed, right? All along, like we observed it actually happening.
yeah, there was
Right.
water running. There was water running down the outside, but that wasn't when I was there. It wasn't during the rain. So I think when it's raining, maybe not even heavily, there's a significant amount of water outside of the gutter.
Okay.
So
Now,
So I just want to
yeah,
add from the
Doug.
building committee. So we talked about that a little bit at the building committee, not about the gutter, but about the door. And they determined that the is it called a sweep, like the thing that comes from the bottom of the door, like the that keeps the water from coming in. Presumably that had water in it for a long time and those bolts rusted out, so that sweep's not working anymore. So when you close the door, it's supposed to lower, and when you open it, it's supposed to raise.
okay,
And the town was aware of it, and I think that it's one of the punch items on the construction list, but it's unclear if or how or when that's gonna get fixed.
and I think that when, this is a number of months ago, when William was present, I got the sense that this punch list, as far as, there being sort of, the left hand knowing what the right hand is doing, that William and Evan should know, that what that punch list is in real time. And so, I'm not sure where that is housed.
My impression is they're aware of the punch list, but the construction company doesn't have the interest in working its way through the punch list.
Okay.
So the building committee's held back a significant amount of money, and that's what they're approaching the construction company with this week, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
And it could go either way. They could finish it and then we owe them the money, or they could just throw their hands up and then we have that money to fix all of the punch list items.
So, as far as the,
I think there were like 4 or 5. That's what I was trying to look at my
as far
notes.
as the building committee, so you're still working out a number of the items, or 2 items?
We have 2 more meetings. This last one is our penultimate, and we're expecting 1 more meeting
All right.
next
And
month.
so anything that remains then, I think we discussed recently, the last meeting or 2 months ago, that it would simply be on the trustees to then follow through with this versus, in other words, the building committee would be dissolved, correct?
Correct.
All right. Who would dissolve that? Was that appointed by the moderator from town meeting?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
It's been so long, but it must have been, yeah. But it's really this last $20,000. That's the last. That's the remaining balance. So it's whether or not they give us that $20,000, and then that's going to go into the town, and the town will be responsible for fixing all those things, or CTA will fix them, and then we'll have to sign off an invoice.
So regardless of whether the construction company agrees to it or not, this 20,000, was it reasonably anticipated that the 20K would fix this issue?
Definitely, it's more than.
It's
what we're
more,
fixing.
yeah, I would hope, just for one door.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And does that balance then, does that go back to the town?
Well, it would stay in the building and construction account, and then I guess the town would have to decide,
Okay,
like, if they go ahead and pay everything off, and there's still a balance, I would guess it just goes back to the town.
okay. All right. John, do you have any, oh,
Quick
Dana.
question. Does that cover like the repair that we might need on this gutter? Cause I'm hearing that the seams aren't done correctly.
I did not hear the gutter mentioned. We did not mention the gutter last week, so I don't know if that's been brought to the, if that's a punch
It
list
could be,
item.
it could be twofold, that we have two broken things, that a gutter that, you know, wouldn't be, feeding excess water to the busted, door sweep, but regardless, that door sweep should be fixed, even if the gutter issue were, remedied.
Yeah,
Yep.
All right,
both items need to be fixed.
all right.
Well, so I guess my question is there anything for me to do on this right now, or I don't want to like give you more work, Doug, but
Well, I think I'll just,
Doug, what do you
I'm
up to 6
gonna add
items?
it to my, I guess, list to William, or maybe it's an email I send to the
Building committee.
OPM, not the OPM, the OPM.
Doug, I appreciate you doing this. It's just, I don't mean to bog you down. It's just a matter of you know, having three people, you know, or having one person versus three people approaching William about stuff. It's just, it's
I think
nice
this is
and
more of a
streamlined.
question for Mark, the OPM, because
Mark, okay.
he can
All
answer
right.
if it's on the check, it's on the punch list, or he can at least answer what was
Okay,
discussed.
so this is a OPM
So
question.
if
Okay.
it's not on the punch list, then we might have to take care of it ourselves.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Well, at least we'd know where our status.
All right. John, any other issues on the walkabout?
no, there's nothing really new.
Okay. All right, director's report and stats, in the absence of an director and an admin, that was not compiled this month. Doesn't mean that the stats aren't being compiled eventually for the annual report, but, so there is no March director's report. So, under old business, any old business items? All right, new business, I'll actually acknowledge and recognize Carrie regarding Library Workers' Day. I didn't forget about that, so
thank you.
I'll give you the floor.
So, it's my understanding that, April 9th is National Library Staff Appreciation Day. And I think that, it would be very nice if we could make some sort of gesture to appreciate our fantastic staff. I don't have a specific suggestion, but, things that we could do, we could, I guess I'm open to other suggestions as well. I think last time when we had raised the question about doing staff appreciation, one of the concerns was having a funding source, and we weren't sure if we had funds available. And I believe that we do have funds available that that are free for us to kind of utilize. Where we do have a representative from the library, I was wondering if maybe she might have a suggestion for what might be nice.
No pressure because
Yeah.
she's here as an
Yeah.
observer, so, but,
I know that the staff talked about some things, but I don't remember what it was, but I could report back to you later if you'd like.
Okay.
I know that, all right, so I can only speak for myself, but I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. I would certainly be putting something on my Facebook and Instagram, not LinkedIn, I meant Instagram, Facebook and Instagram, walls to acknowledge something like, just, as trustees personally acknowledging, Library Workers' Day. But,
I remembered one thing, I know that, we do a lot of outreach, and so like a quarter zip or a fleece jacket or something like that, that had library logo, so you guys
we-
gave us
yeah.
jackets before,
Yeah, the jacket.
I wear it all the time, I love
Aw.
it, but, something that's more like for a little bit lighter than this, that's kind of in between, so I don't know,
Something you can wear in the office, like a vest, maybe, just if it's a little chilly, kind of where you're sitting, because you're idle for a while, and you just want to put on something that has the library logo on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like a fleece, maybe?
More like a fleece.
Yeah.
Type
Oh,
of thing
okay.
was one idea that I recall that was bantered about at one point.
Would you be willing to go back and maybe poll and see if, and come back with like a suggestion and
I can
and then,
give you several, I'll see if I can get several suggestions, just so you have an idea if you'd like.
That'd be great.
yeah, I think that would be really nice.
But in the meantime, I guess we could individually talk this up and use our own social media influence just to weigh in on our appreciation of
Yeah.
you know, the library staff. Yes.
So I was gonna say, so obviously, if we're gonna present something, we won't have it ready by the 9th.
Yeah.
But we may be able to decide what we're gonna do and communicate that to them, maybe, or at least
Or
let them
even
know,
have a picture of something.
or let them know we're
Or
working
people
on
can
it.
put in orders or a size or something and sign up
Yeah.
so we have the information if that's something we wanna do.
So I think that's a really, like, I like the idea of like a fleece, and that's a bigger idea, but maybe on the actual day, maybe like cookies or donuts or something, you know, something like along that lines to have on the actual day.
I know, well, I'll mention that, all right, so I didn't actually put this on as a separate agenda item, I'm simply recognizing on the new business, which is fine, but because I didn't put it on as a separate agenda item, we wouldn't really be able to vote on this and appropriate money tonight.
Okay,
And so I didn't anticipate that there'd be a potential appropriation, and so had I thought of that, or had maybe we
but we're
discussed
not
it.
allowed to do that, we can't.
In other words, I think that if, all right, so if we have an agenda item, okay, this is actually under this discussion and any other discussion that we haven't spoken of before would absolutely fall into new business, but what I'm saying is that our ability to take action and vote on something, especially an appropriation, we can't just at any given meeting at that time without reasonable notice to the public that there'll be a certain issue discussed in an appropriation. We just can't just develop, we could hypothetically, under this situation that we may have done before, develop a whole laundry list of stuff to just vote on without there being some reasonable description of that subject matter on the agenda.
But I guess it's, I mean, we have, you know, we have a budget, we do have
Right.
some discretion as far as funds go, so I mean, I certainly, like, if it was some, you know, major issue that we would expect public input on, but, you know, we're not talking about a major dollar amount, it's something that's already in
Yeah,
our funds.
and I absolutely understand your point. I don't think it's a dollar amount, but let's say hypothetically, I put an agenda and meeting notice together with one item, and it was new business, all right? Hypothetically. It was just a blank slate and new business, and we just randomly could vote on anything regardless of what the topic was or the amount, however small. I think the open meeting law and the intent of that is that those items that we are to vote on and even appropriate money on would be reasonably stated in an agenda, not just, because right now there is no descriptive of
Should we have a special meeting so we can do it? Is that too late?
Well, probably just to kind of address what Roger's saying
Sure.
here. You know, I think we used to have new business, old business, and then nothing kind of listed there. I think that was kind of a mistake. Because you're right, it isn't kind of a blank slate, but I think it was appropriate to say, for the next agenda, I would like to bring up the topic of.
Right.
So that I think that would have been fine.
And she did that, and I overlooked putting it on as a separate item.
Oh,
And so what happened is that I remembered that I overlooked that, and so I apologize for that. But I didn't anticipate that there'd be a request for an appropriation, and maybe that's my bad. That in the future, that if there's something to be spoken of, that I would, or anyone else would, put that on the agenda. This kind of caught me by surprise because we don't have an admin, that I'm putting this agenda together on my own. And so, again, I apologize for not being more specific about
So
it.
I guess to Dana's point, if it needs to be publicized and we need to, you know, give the public 24-hour notice, and we could do it as a special meeting, we could do a quick Zoom meeting, you know, early next week. And and maybe there would be time before that to get input as far as like what might be nice on April 9th. then we can vote on
And-
it.
and I
Because
will-
I think the actual day, I'm sorry,
I know.
I think the actual day, like,
Yeah.
we want to appreciate
have
the
to.
actual day, and I know not all the staff will be there, and maybe we can have, a gift certificate or something, instead, but I just think we need, like, our staff really needs to be appreciated,
I know.
especially after everything they've been through
I know.
this past year, and I really would hate to see that day pass without us doing something. I mean, I think Facebook posts are awesome,
Right.
and I think
But
the
you're
fleeces,
saying
I
something more
love-
formal.
But something, well,
Yeah.
something the actual day that's tangible to say we care about you and we appreciate our staff and we, and here's just a small token of our appreciation.
And maybe I'm ahead of myself on the agenda, but not. So we will, find ourselves having the opportunity, potentially, within that time frame, to be, voting on a.
That's true. We could-
a
we could-
Director, we could
yeah.
incorporate that one item into that
That's a great
special
idea.
meeting.
That's a good idea.
But do you think it's realistic that we're gonna get ideas from the library?
Nope.
Come up with a decision and then vote on it and then get it by April 9th? There's no way.
There's two separate things. I
Yeah,
think
two separate.
Carrie's just talking about whatever we're gonna do for the day. That's the immediate need right now. And then
Yeah, the funding for the fleece and stuff, we have time
I'm
for
sorry,
that.
I
and
thought
we
you were
can-
talking about all that.
I'm really talking about on
But like what
Tuesday,
would
April
that
9th.
entail?
So, I mean, it could be swirls and scoops because they open April 1st. So we could do little gift certificates. They do really cute ones. We could do that and give them like ice cream. So you think that sounds good? Okay. So,
I think it'd be nice to have like some, some food for them, not, not just fruit, something nice.
Are
that
you
they would like.
thinking lunch or
Yeah,
or
We could, maybe.
All right, I'll recognize Aaron.
So, when you brought up this conversation, I started making notes here. And the first thing that came to mind, and this was actually really effective, where I worked, I thought, because it actually made you stop, and I haven't even said what it is yet.
I think I may know what
Yeah,
you think.
but it made you stop and really
Take a break.
be more engaged.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about just a simple thank you note from each of us, right? It doesn't cost anything, but it would be something that the staff could read at their leisure. But it forces us to kind of stop and think about how we appreciate the staff, right? And we did that at work, and I thought it was kind of a silly thing, but it was nice to kind of see what my boss had wanted to say about me, And I know we have to talk very generally, but certainly, the staff doesn't hear from us at all, right? And something as simple as just a written thank you note, is a good start. The other thing that we missed last year is generally around
Yeah.
September, October, we do an official staff appreciation. And I think there was a lot of I don't know, back and forth about how we pay for it, and then the whole thing got lost, right? So generally, and I was uncomfortable with this at first when I became a trustee, but I got around. I came to terms with it that we each come up with $30 in our own pocket, and we put some money together to buy food, and then we brought a bottle of wine and we brought some dessert. That $30 would go towards purchasing food for an event. Since we didn't do that, I think we should do that for this event because it's an opportunity where we don't have to go back and forth about what funding source is. I think it's just something that we can all do on our own. We didn't do last year, and we do it every year. So I'm willing to put up to $30 of my money towards purchasing a food item or something and writing a thank you note. So
I am too.
yes.
Yeah, Dana, I'm sorry.
We also used to have, do you remember when we used to have a little party?
Yeah,
Like
that's what I meant.
A cocktail party, and they used to come to it. We had it several times at Doug's home.
Yeah.
We've had it different places.
Yeah.
We had it,
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So we'd bring a bottle of wine and some cookies or dessert, and then we'd also pay some money for food catering. Yeah.
I think we need to do something that day,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why we can't fund it. I don't think we individually should fund something that
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think that's a great idea. I would be very happy to participate in doing like a staff appreciation party, but for this event, I think we should we should just, like Dana said, like either pay for, desserts or lunch or something. And we do have the funding. Like that was something that we do have. We are able to use
Yeah, so
funds,
which,
right?
do you know which funding source?
Off the top of my
Well,
head.
because we have trusts,
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
trusts and state aid, and that's all
Yeah.
that we have
Right.
purview over.
Right.
So I don't think we can pull from trusts, and I think we have a lot we can do with state aid, but I think we decided that you can't, buy food items and whatever from state aid money.
We paid for the,
I-
how did we pay for the jackets? They were not,
That was state aid money.
yeah.
Well, we did have the 90th
Oh, yeah.
celebration on the Common. I think the funding source was state aid for all the things that went along with that.
Do we think, I'll ask
I don't know.
Cindy, do we think that the staff would appreciate like food items that day? Like we write thank you notes and then we deliver, maybe we each deliver some kind of
Yeah,
tray full of food.
I
It
would
doesn't have
love
to be
to do
lunch, but cookies,
A
brownies.
delivery.
Yeah.
A delivery.
yep. Yep, and if a trustee would
I mean, this is
wouldn't
in
mind
addition
collect,
to like the
because a
jacket.
lot of us can't show up at 10, but somebody who's in town might be able to collect everything and bring it. I think you've done that in the past, Dana. You've, set something up for the staff.
I'm probably working that day.
And did-
No, I'm not saying you have to.
And if someone could jog my memory, we had a similar discussion about the limitations on use of funds for this type of stuff. Can
Yeah.
someone jog my memory of whether that got resolved in the past?
I honestly don't think we've ever used state aid or trust money for this type of thing. I mean, for the jackets, because that's kind of like a work
Yeah.
thing. They're
Right.
using it in their work environment, but not for food.
Yeah.
I thought there were gift accounts that
I thought we did.
were able to be used for this type of
That's
thing.
not under our purview, though. That's library purview.
Right.
The revolving account, like
That's
the
the revolving
copier.
account.
Yeah.
Library,
How about Carrie and I figure out some food to do for the day, do for that day, and we can figure out funding later, whether it comes from ourselves or whatever.
Well, I guess to go back to Aaron's idea, so if we take $30, so there's 6 of us, so that's
100.
it's 100. So
Or we whatever we feel we are capable of giving, right? We go and purchase a nice cake or a nice cookies or platter or something that can be delivered to the library. I mean, so I'll give you an example. I'm new to the Boy Scouts organization, and what they do is a court of honor every quarter or so, and they ask each of the family members to just bring one thing. It didn't have to be like a full meal, so we brought some, raspberry cookies and some cinnamon rolls.
the only thing I do caution is I think it has to be. I don't think we can make things and bring it as much as I love that idea. Just
Oh, it's not. It's all store bought stuff.
yeah, it
No,
definitely has
it
to
was.
be.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Is there any limitation on the whole and I think we'd be okay in this, but I know there's like the conflict of interest stuff with like, you can't give someone more than a $50 gift or whatever, but I think we're okay here. As long
We're
as
giving
it's
it to
collectively
we're giving it to people collectively, and there's no quid pro quo involved to
Okay.
either any individual or
Just wanted to make
collection
sure.
of individuals, really, and that's I think, what the conflict of interest speaks of as far as like individuals, and then they being under influence and an expectation of something in return, and that wouldn't be the situation here, because there's so many, even the dollar amount, there's so many employees involved that the dollar amount wouldn't exceed that threshold individually. So,
I'm comfortable with what John proposed,
Okay.
and he and Carrie
right.
want to put
You wanna
something
do that?
together. I'll support that.
all right,
Okay. All right.
all right, cool. All right, any other new business? All right, public input, any public input? All right,
I wanted to mention one thing.
oh yeah, sure.
So, the last time you mentioned that you were considering stepping down as the chair, will you continue on, and then we'll discuss
Yeah.
it at the election time?
Yeah, yeah, in other words, I'll serve through that, and then even that May meeting.
Yeah.
And so, it's just, we would normally reorganize, and even if we, like last year, even though we reorganized during that meeting in May, Dr. Teixeira ran that meeting.
Yep.
And then I resumed it after that meeting adjourned, so, yeah, in other words, it's every year. The other thing I would float along those ideas, Aaron, and I think it may be unprecedented, but it may be an invitation for different people to step forward. And it may seem too frequent, but anytime, this could be Board of Library Trustees or any other committee, I haven't really heard the idea floated of if a committee is finding it, people having a struggle to commit to a whole year, whether there's nothing to prevent any committee from reorganizing at any time and doing the reorg in 6-month chunks, even if that current chair stays on board for another 6 months, by having that sort of paradigm shift on chairmanship. Some people may consider it disruptive to certain continuity in items, especially where we're on the cusp of a new director, but the idea of at least being open to the fact that if we reorg, that we always can we can always shift that if we find that someone who's chair is finding, assistance. And then again, and I hadn't done this, is also lean on my vice chair, that the chair and the vice chair work together more closely than I had really, sometimes I'll not intentionally be a ball hog, but I'll just be like, oh, I'll just do it myself without realizing that, yeah, John was willing and able to help out. But I just wanted to float that idea that however we reorg, that at any time people can jump on and help out, and we don't have to always have a reorg once a year. It could be every 6 months, but anyway, but to your point, yeah, I'll serve through May, and then whatever meeting after May, someone can, that whoever is voted on as chair can then resume after adjournment of that meeting.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, and I think that's only fair because whoever's elected, so, you really should be weighing in on who the next chair's
Yeah,
gonna be. So.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So,
Good. Well, thank you for staying on.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair.
All right,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you for bringing that up for clarity. So, all right, so John, I'm just writing a note here. Okay, all right, so next meeting's policy subcommittee, to be determined, I guess. All right. Friends,
April 9th at 7:30 p.m.
that's a Tuesday.
Yeah, they always do Tuesday.
Okay. All right, the trustees' regular meeting is Wednesday, April 24th at 7. And I just want to clarify that of my own accord, I obliged a request from the zoning board of appeals to swap out because they needed a hybrid Zoom feature. And so we'll be in meeting room F upstairs, which is still fully televised.
Roger, I'm sorry, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
we don't have a separate agenda item, but where we are talking about next meetings for the Friends.
Oh, yeah.
I did just want to give a little plug for
Oh, okay.
our spring egg hunt, which is going to
that's
be
right.
this Saturday, March
Yep.
30th, so the day the day before Easter. There are 2 hunts, one at 10 a.m., the second is at 11 a.m. Tickets are $5. The last I checked, the 10 a.m. were, if not sold out, very close to being sold out, but there were some tickets available for 11 a.m. Typically, the tickets are not sold at the event, they're sold in advance, and they're available at the library during normal library hours, which are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, and then Friday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So the last chance to buy tickets would be on Friday before 3 p.m.
All right, thank you, Carrie, and I'll thank the Friends for that function because it's always well attended, so much so that I think last year it was a downpour and the place was a mob scene. It was a mud pit, and there were just people just just standing out in the pouring rain.
I know.
you
I have I've gotten wet quite a few years,
Yeah.
but it is always fun, rain or shine. But the weather forecast is actually for sun, so
That's awesome.
I'm psyched.
That is
a little
awesome.
easier to prepare when it's not so wet. But
And the Boy Scout Troop 106 will be assisting.
yep, and also so yeah, thank you. And then we also had volunteers from the Grafton High School National Honor Society who helped do the egg stuffing, and they were great. Like we went right up till 3 o'clock when the library closed on Saturday,
Cool.
like getting egg stuff because we have to do 2,200 eggs. So that's so that
Wow.
that was fun.
Wow.
And then we have David Meridian is going to serve as the MC. Chief Crapo is providing a police detail to make sure that people cross safely between the library, and we also have some sponsors too. So
awesome.
Market Basket, Stop and Shop,
And the Easter Bunny will be there?
and the Easter Bunny will be there. Yes, so you can take a picture with the Easter Bunny. So and then our children's children's librarian staff will be doing crafts inside the library in the temporary children's space, which is conference room A and B. So.
Historic reading room.
Oh, in the historic okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so then we're gonna have two spaces, so that's kind of
No,
nice.
we're not
No,
doing,
just-
we're not
just
doing
one.
crafts in the,
But we'll have the play
Just
space.
it,
Yeah. So there'll be the play space in conference room A and B, and then the crafts will be there, which is great because that's right as you come off of the common. So that's perfect. Okay,
All right.
you're right. I was supposed to know that. I just forgot. Okay.
All right. So, and then, all right, and then next meeting's, meeting, number D would be that after the walkthrough next week, we should meet, the following week to really, decide on, what the next steps will be, whether we move forward with this candidate or not. And, since the walkthrough will be the in-person, I don't think there would be any need for him to actually be present once more.
No, because
and
yeah,
so-
that wouldn't be appropriate.
And so that would be a to be determined, and would that, either next Tuesday or Wednesday, or maybe Wednesday?
I think
is-
Wednesday the 3rd would make sense, right? Because, and then could that be via Zoom?
Wednesdays are bad for me. My,
All right, is everyone available Wednesday
The 3rd?
Wednesday, that's not
or
good for you?
Thursday the 4th?
don't worry, I have something I have to do for my son, but
I'm not available the 4th, but the 3rd, yes.
Are you
Sorry.
available either day?
I'm available either day. So.
And I am as well. Are you available either day?
April 3rd and 4th.
Yeah,
I-
all right.
Or yeah, I think I'm available either one.
All right,
I am
and
too.
so I don't, so we have, Dana is unavailable on Wednesday, Doug is unavailable on Thursday, so I don't know what, I'll say
And
tongue in
Aaron.
cheek whether there should be a coin toss here, but, I don't wanna favor
But-
one
but
person over
Aaron
the
and
other.
Doug are both not available on the Thursday.
Oh,
No,
okay,
no, I can do Thursday.
Oh, you can. Okay,
If
so
I'm there.
so it's actually Aaron, not Doug.
so,
Correct, it's Aaron on Thursday, and
what time is the meeting gonna be?
it would normally be 7 unless, I mean, sometimes an early meeting, I could, if people could make a 6:30 or a 6, I don't know whether that is too early for folks.
Earlier.
And whether that would be in person or via Zoom.
Does earlier work for you, Dana?
No, but that's okay. I mean,
What-
I know
what's the
which
earliest-
direction we're headed in.
I'll
I think it's
poll people here. What is the earliest you could make either an in-person or a Zoom meeting, Doug?
I can, on the 3rd or 4th, probably after 3 o'clock.
All right, how about you, John?
Wednesday, our normal day, 7 o'clock.
All right.
Because I'm coming from Worcester,
Oh, okay.
and but Thursday would be like 5 p.m. on.
And how about
Anytime is fine.
how about you, Aaron?
I have to eat dinner
I know.
and be with my family
I
after
know.
work, so 7
Yeah.
o'clock.
All right, then.
But it's okay. If you want to meet without me present,
No,
that's
no.
fine
I
too.
think we're trying to. In this situation, I would want to maximize attendance.
Yep.
And does maximizing that attendance, does it matter whether it is Zoom or in person? All right, so I mean,
Zoom
I
would
think
be
we.
nice.
What was that?
Zoom would be nice.
All right.
But I mean, I can do either, but
I know, and maybe I'll recommend Zoom, for, Dr. Teixeira's availability as well.
Yep.
All right, then, all right, so, but we would go with like a Zoom at 7,
On Wednesday, the 3rd?
Wednesday the 3rd. Okay. All right, and, all right, it's so, I had put on a placeholder, executive session if necessary. I don't think we're at that point.
No.
And, but there's nothing to prevent us from at least discussing who among us would be the one to, be the point person for the trustees, for negotiations. Without getting into detail, we could still discuss in public session without,
Okay,
compromising anything, who that person would be.
okay.
And it doesn't have to be the chair.
I don't know what we would be negotiating. I think the town would probably do that.
Actually, no, it'd be the
I don't think
trustees.
so.
It's the trustees, we're in
It's
charge of the hire.
trustees.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. Right, because we had the scale.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So, I mean, if no one has any preference, we could certainly defer it to that meeting.
Yep, I think it's a
next
good
week?
idea.
Okay.
Okay, but it wouldn't, I would hope that we would have some support from the town as far as like benefits and all that stuff.
That
Like,
would
I-
be, yes, that would be part of the discussion, but I think what we were talking about is the primarily the grade. The
Well, I think
salary grade.
we'd probably make an offer, and they would probably counter, and you would just be that point person. But
Right, right.
you know,
And so,
that's what they want to. But
then let's be prepared at our next meeting
Discuss it.
to
Yep.
then discuss that. All right, then I will I'll entertain a motion, as my pen breaks on me. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Did we,
Yeah.
Oh, no, I just,
Oh.
in case
Yeah.
there was discussion of the unattended child policy age and all that.
No,
Yes.
we
Okay.
didn't, yeah.
There was going to be someone who might show up for public input, but I don't. They said they had something else going on tonight, so they may not be able to get here on time. But I think at this point they may not be coming. So I think we
Can we put that on the agenda for next meeting then?
Sure.
Because I think
Yeah,
that's an
I
important
think
thing for
that
us
is-
to
So
discuss.
unattended child,
it was.
no, what was he,
North Grafton,
What was it?
North Grafton?
Well, like the schools, you mean, or?
Yeah.
no, but
Yeah,
what?
it was a number of things. So it was basically, we'll say, accessibility and programming for children and
Okay.
tweens and teens, just as kind of a general topic to discuss.
Okay, so
Is that fair,
accessibility.
Debbie?
Was, is
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Here.
Yes.
that person gonna attend the meeting, do you think, to give us, to?
I'll let them know again that we're going to be like that it's going to be on the agenda, and I'll let them know ahead of time so that they can hopefully plan for that.
So it's accessibility and
We've also invited her to just come meet with department heads instead
Yes.
of necessarily taking it to directly to trustees.
Yep.
And she
Right.
sent an email, there were valid concerns about the way that things had been done in the past and things had been unclear, and I addressed a lot of those in the email to her, and invited her in to speak with Sarah, myself, John, whoever else would like to take part in that.
Okay,
But I think
Good.
if we feel like the unattended child policy needs to be reviewed, we should do that also. I mean, obviously feedback from the staff, and reading through the comments from the patron.
okay.
Have we received those comments?
I don't recall receiving
Yeah.
comments. How long ago was that?
John,
John
I
Ford
think
and-
Oh, I'm
2 or
sorry.
3 weeks ago, I forwarded the
okay.
email from the patron. So
Okay,
there is a contact form, I think, on our website,
Right.
that on the library website, that is supposed to go to the trustees. She had tried to fill that out. I never received anything for that, and so, but I know who this person is, so they
okay.
sent the email to my wife. She gave that to me, and so then I
Alright.
forwarded that on to
All right,
everybody.
I will read that
Okay,
again.
I'll
I
look for it.
overlooked putting
March
that on
5th.
as an agenda item.
Okay.
John sent it on March
March
5th.
5th. Okay,
March fifth, okay. Thank you for clarifying that date.
22 days ago.
All right, sorry about that.
I can send my response as well. I just didn't know about
Did you-
conversations. I sent it to Kristen and I copied you on it, but I didn't copy everyone on the board. I didn't know
Okay.
if that needed to be done at this time.
Yeah, I think what happens is that if you were to put in your opinion, that's not an issue. I think what happens is that if one of us puts forth our opinion on an issue, even if no one else weighs in, but it's within the earshot of a quorum, then we as members of, as trustees need to avoid that action. But there's nothing preventing you from doing that as long as we exercise caution not to respond.
I'll send it out in the morning.
All right, thank you so much.
So you're entertaining a motion to
To
adjourn?
it, yes.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Declare the motion carried. This meeting's adjourned at what, 8:20? All right.
I didn't say aye, but I said aye.